okay, how to build false confidence, as in how to build true confidence and understanding the difference. We have a question that came in, which is asked a lot. Like basically, when do you give up?
Yeah.
Like this notion of pivoting is a common term that's used and overused in the tech startup world. The idea of pivoting is like, when you think of basketball, you have one foot and you're pivoting on that one foot, like, which I think is a fancy way to say you're not throwing everything away and starting from scratch, but you're like adjusting from where you are. But when do you pivot versus when do you persevere, right? And stay in it and figure it out. And that is a common question that is asked. So we have a part answered on that. There was a whole element all on sequencing. We're going to use a parable or story of the cow in the ditch versus cow out of the ditch, but we just dumped it into the parking lot last minute thinking might save that for later, but if we have time, we'll go to it. And then on practical tips, I feel like in the course of the last week, some intense discussions, conversations, we got to, I think, I know my optimism, I always think I cracked the code, right? I think I cracked the code in human performance here and kind of what we all need and have to do. So that is
we're always looking to crack the code.
That is basically down here and here. I'm just going to tease you a little bit for messy writing, but it's not all messy. But yeah, should we kind of
let's jump in,
launch from that, and then just navigate? Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to play some videos. We're going to hopefully the sound will come out okay. Yeah.
If not, we'll just tell you what they say.
Okay. So title, just kind of looked it up online and found an image, and it said false confidence often leads to disaster. And so the argument that I think we're going to really try to make here, and hopefully people will see, is that it's better to be wrong. It's better to be terribly wrong than to be in this middle ground of false confidence, of being average, of thinking that kind of worked out. It's actually better to win, of course, first and foremost. And then the second best thing is to be terribly wrong. Because if you're terribly wrong, you will fix and correct.
Right.
But when you have this middle ground, it's good enough. It's not bad. It's not great. That middle ground, which is what I call the false confidence, which is also the same as being average, is the killer. So we're going to hone in on this, and this is something that you can actually choose to eliminate out of your mental diet. You can choose to eliminate average. You can choose to eliminate kind of false confidence. And so that's what we're going to kind of go into in Leadership in Practice 257.
Nice.
All right. So last week we covered this, just really quick recap, this notion of in almost every situation, we keep thinking it's somebody else's fault of why we failed. It's some teammate, it's a boss, it's a subordinate. It's always somebody else's fault, or situationally, it's like, well, the market.
It's either someone's fault,
like,
something
it could be
else.
President Trump or President Xi.
Yeah.
It could be just, it's always someone else's fault.
Yeah.
Right. It's the climate change issue. It's the bad weather. There's a
unlimited excuses.
Unlimited,
right? Isn't it
right?
tied to excuses,
and
right?
That is a theme that shows up just across a lot of research, that those who are winners do not look at the world that way. They start to recognize the single biggest reason that we tend not to win is self-sabotage, right? We sabotage ourselves, and we are the sole driver and usually the sole author of our losing, of doing badly. And understanding how we self-sabotage can help you fix that. And so the opposite of it, and what we covered last week, was this notion of leading from weakness, as in the level of courage it takes to be able to consistently expose your weakness. And this is the opposite of self-sabotage. And so we got into a coaching discussion after our lip class last week, this notion of uninsultable, untriggerable.
Yeah.
Can you get to a place where almost nobody can insult you?
Right.
Nobody can shut you down. Nobody could trigger you. That it is only you that can get yourself truly insulted. Only you that can get yourself triggered. That notion of, can I train myself?
Yeah. And if you were there, remember we showed the Eminem clip, which most of you have seen from the 8 Mile movie, where it's great because at the end of it, he says, here, tell these people something they don't know about me, because he just shared everything bad about himself or the things he doesn't like or all the weaknesses. And then just takes all the air out of the room, right? There's
Yep.
nothing else to say. So he's
Yeah.
just completely uninsultable, untriggerable. It's like, and that's the notion of like truly owning your weakness, where you can't, nobody's triggering you.
And,
right?
and the reason why you can lead from it,
Yeah.
and this shows up in, there's a lot of different fields. It's interesting, even in the legal field,
Yeah.
they say one of the biggest mistakes lawyers fail to do is actually being able to lead from their weakness. They try to hide it.
Oh, yeah.
As a result of it,
Yeah.
everything is about trying to avoid that weakness.
Mhm.
So you can train yourself to do the opposite.
Yeah.
Learn to literally immerse yourself in it, bathe in this weakness, the stuff that makes you feel icky and crappy, so much that you can like start right off. Yep, that shit on my face and there's mud all over my body.
Yeah,
right?
and I think
Let me tell you what I want to do.
I was just
right?
gonna say, I think we're gonna explain why you'd want to do that, because some people right now might be thinking, well, I don't want to do that. Why do I want to bathe in all my weakness and go to the, like, why? I think we're teeing this up well. See, I
Okay.
can see the
Okay.
vision that's coming
Yeah,
together
right,
as
right.
we're doing it live.
Okay.
I'm
Right.
seeing it, guys.
Yeah.
It's happening.
I don't get a lot of compliments.
Yeah, it's happening. No.
Usually it's the opposite.
The last 48 hours, I'm tracking
Okay.
it, but not fully, but I'm starting to see
So
the brilliance.
are you saying
I'm
we're close
optimistic.
to
Very close.
solving
Very close.
the whole key to
We're
humanity?
very close to
Um,
solving humanity.
Quick thing, just to note, it's a bit before this, just in the market, I don't know if some of you read this. OpenAI this week put 100 job postings to hire former investment bankers.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is they're planning, and just simply through the job recruiting, they're planning to build an AI agent that replaces all junior associates, junior bankers in finance firms.
Investment bankers,
Right?
right?
Yeah. Well, so all their senior investment
Oh,
bankers,
see,
but
okay.
like they literally have declared and shared that intention. And so can you imagine the field? And I was going back and
Yeah.
forth with some really high-end people in finance, high-end people in tech, and even legal on this topic, where the reason why, when I think about why is AI not replacing plumbers, everyone's like, go be a plumber, that's the future. The reason why they're starting with, say, finance bankers or engineers is any savvy business will first go where there's most money. Why would you start with the least amount of money? The highest paying jobs coming out of college for undergrads, right, are either in banking, in consulting, in technology, or legal. I'm sure there are pieces actually medical people get screwed as far as getting paid for a long time. So I think whatever field is paying the most, and the reason why they pick the junior posts, junior people do not have a lot of good judgment. So as a result of it, most of what they're doing are kind of run on predictable like
Right.
rule sets,
Mm.
predictable processes. Any job that is applying a predictable rule set, a predictable process, can be coded out and replaced with an AI agent. So everyone's flipping out, and I guess like literally
Yeah.
like fashion brands like self-sabotage,
Ferragamo, like some of
their
these,
stock plummeted with the announcement because so many bankers buy their stuff that when they're out of job suddenly, you're going to see an impact on the spending,
Yeah.
right, of these higher income, 20-something-year-olds. And so they're going after that. And I had a conversation with some real senior legal partners saying, the lawyers are next, right? Because they're paid a lot, just like the engineers have already felt it. They're going after bankers. Lawyers will go next. I think consultants have been kind of happening already as is. The need for a consultant to make a PowerPoint versus just asking AI to do
Right.
things, that's changed so rapidly. And what they're talking about already, Goldman Sachs is saying that I think it was 95% of an IPO document, the prospectus, is done by AI already, 95%. So what would take teams of people 3 weeks, they're doing, I think, in like minutes. And so not only the speed, but the replacement. And if people are worried about OpenAI, which is now a huge company with 100 people being hired, I was like, you don't know what's going on in the startup world. The startup world doesn't need to hire 100 people. They find one former investment banker who knows the job, and that one individual will solve this faster and better than 100 people hired by a big company now, going through trying to figure this out. And the startup will be attacking it with multiple startups going at every place where you can make quick money. quick money is replacing the jobs of people who are paid the most.
Just let the junior ones do research of things that are probably roughly.
Oh,
Yeah,
like-
that's why you said any job that's applying a predictable rule set.
Yeah.
I never would have considered investment banking to be
Yeah.
predictable. But to your
So-
point, a lot of research and like basic.
So I know it's hard to see that as another word for average, right?
Right.
Most junior people come in producing average work, doing average tasks, average things that literally you can now tell an AI agent to go do. And they also say in AI, by the way, it performs better the harsher you speak to it. So if you are actually, I think there was some stat that's like almost 5% better in performance if you literally bully it, right? Speak to it like
Yeah.
a little annoying, like POS, like, you know, like child or intern. You can't do that to junior employees. You'd get, you know, canceled and called out immediately. So can you imagine the senior people who are like, wow, I can what? So anyways, that's moving fast. And I'm saying all this because average is very dangerous. And it's more dangerous than it ever has been. In fact, I would argue AI is going to kill average human performance. In any industry, any field, average human performance is getting killed and replaced at such a fast rate. You don't want to be average. So let me play this real quick video. This guy, David Goggins, you may have heard of him or not. He was like a really heavy, overweight guy who joined the Navy SEALs and then is like just an example, especially on the physical side of just like pure warrior strength. I mean, never giving up, and just the work he's done has become an inspiration for a lot of people. So he's a little bit intense, but I'm gonna play 2 clips from him that might be interesting. Let's see.
Just let me know, Laura, if you guys can't hear it.
Okay, so let me know if you can. Yeah. Here's this one first.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I have to reshare so I can play the video, right? So give me a sec.
Also, Megan, you might need to mute when it hits play.
But then it won't be. How will we hear it?
Yeah, I think if you, so the sound doesn't revert back. Okay. Did you mute?
Yeah, you wake up, you're gonna probably be set back for the first 4 weeks. This is what I would tell your boy. This is exactly what I tell.
Because I'm not joined in audio.
Right, I am. That's why I was saying I should probably
We
play it.
heard it there for a minute.
Oh, you did? Okay, so let
Yeah.
me go back to that. Let's try it then. We'll try it.
Tell your boy. This is exactly what I tell him. Every day you wake up, you're gonna probably be set back for the first 4 weeks before you lose to significant weight because the mind's gonna be fucking with you the whole time. There's no dopamine. The problem is you. And it makes me so fucking mad. Every day I walk this earth and I see average all over the fucking place. And they want to ask me, how did you do it? I can't tell you how, because you're not gonna do it. You have to be your best self and your least motivated. And that's the tricky part about all that shit. Motivation is just a word. You have to have these different things in your mind on where you want to go and know that motivation is not going to get me there. All right, this is my best friend right here for 41 years. He knows all about me, I know all about him. The good, the bad, and the ugly. But I'd rather motherfucker hate me and get better than like me and stay the same. So I gave my boy a pass. He's been in shape his entire fucking life. Last 4 or 5 years, I've been seeing him slowly get out of shape. He gained about 35 fucking pounds. He's always been fit. So I gave him a pass. Why? My best friend. I don't want to have that uncomfortable conversation about this motherfucker getting fat, losing what he got and shit. So basically, about 7 months ago, he came down to my house and I said, hey man, you know, what the fuck's up, bro? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, hey man, you gained a lot of weight. What's going on? I touched a nerve in him. Long story short, man, he came back 7 months later, lost 35 fucking pounds, looking all grizzled and shit. He probably can't flex right now because he's got his ass worked out in the gym, but boy, he's hard again. Let's get him, Johnny. Let's get him. My boy's back. Tell him what they need to fucking know. And if they don't respond that way, they don't want to be better. Obviously, this motherfucker wanted it and he got it. Stay hard.
Great. I'm back to unmute. You can hear me okay, right? Let me just put my volume back up. There's a lot in there, huh? There's a lot in there.
Laura, can you guys hear us? Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot in there. I played two parts on purpose. One is connected to your actual self, and the other one is the standard you hold
For
others to.
others, right.
And that example with David Goggins, even with all his high performance stuff, he can't stand low performance. He can't stand low standards. Yet, because it's a good friend of his,
Right.
he let it go, gave him a pass. Gave him a pass for a while because the guy obviously ballooned up. And then at some point, it was just kind of a simple comment, that moment of, brutal honesty, radical candor, whatever you want to call it. And it bothered that individual. And that led to that person fixing over 7 months. I wrote the first part that he says, coming back to the self-sabotage. So he said, the problem is you, okay? The problem is you. I'm just reading exactly what David Goggins said. It makes me so fucking mad. Every day I walk this earth, I see average all over the fucking place. How? And people ask him, right? How did you do it? Right? And his response is, I can't tell you how because you're not going to fucking do it.
Yeah, that was
right.
Right.
You need to bring your best self when you're least motivated. You need to bring your best self when you're least motivated. That's something that is very difficult for people to grasp, right?
Yeah.
This notion, and so remember, he's going through a lot of words really fast, but this notion of every day I walk this earth, I see average all over the fucking place. That's what makes him so mad. Average.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share a quick parable. So I commented actually just before coming here on that exact video to David Goggins and said this. There's a nuance in this 1-minute video message. Be fucking pissed at average. The Elephant and the Writer is a great story in how to think of decisions, your options and choices. Our mind and our subconscious is the elephant. Our conscious mind is the writer. So think of our emotions, our intuition, our subconscious mind as the elephant. Our conscious mind, our logical mind is the writer. The writer cannot control the elephant. The elephant is too big and too large to control. The solution is to block the path of average. So you're only left with terrible choices or great choices. Choosing to be great is hard for most. But if the choice of average is blocked, so I can only pick between terrible and great, you have a better shot. So this is what we want to dive into more. This slide here, I'm going to come back to this. So my handwriting in the bottom was literally writing the exact words of David Goggins. Problem is you. It makes me so fucking mad. Every day I walk the earth, I see average all over the fucking place. And then people ask him, how did you do it? I can't tell you how, because you're not going to fucking do it. Right. So this notion of bringing your best self when you're least motivated and how difficult that is and how to make sure that happens on a daily basis, weekly basis. So that's what we're going to go into. So if you just tell me what to go.
Okay, yeah, I can't remember what's next, but yeah, so, feel like, okay, take a deep breath from that. No, it's intense. The whole thing is intense, because, no, it's good.
Can I-
Questions,
yeah,
comments, yeah.
Just for people that didn't
Yeah.
know that story, the Elephant and the Rider, even I had to like,
Did you think
but
about
wasn't it like there were 3 paths? I forget exactly.
Yeah. So when I think of
Yeah.
3 pads here, think about like, I don't know, go to some place that has a lot of elephants, like say India, right? Imagine getting a ride on an elephant and you're like sitting on it.
Yeah,
Like you want the elephant to go left, you want the elephant to go right, but it's so hard to actually control the giant beast. It's going to do what it wants. So picture in front of you, there are 3 roads, right? One road is being great, but it's a lot of hard work, right? Another road is actually just being as lazy as possible and doing everything shitty. And that's the road to like just being a 0, right? So there's great and there's zero. But in the middle, the largest road is this road of average.
It's like a plowed
Like-
path, basically.
Yeah,
They're like,
the largest
So
road.
instead of trying to like control the elephant, you basically get off and like
You
walk.
block that average road,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
the average road is the biggest road. And we'll go into this. We're putting this thing in our new culture tour. When you think of the road, the greatness road is 4% if out of 100% pie.
Mhm.
The real shitty road is 4% as well. The middle average road is 92%, meaning it is the largest highway in front of us. And every single day, that is the easiest road to take because it is also the biggest. And so if you just ride the elephant, which is just kind of letting your subconscious mind and your full body just drive whatever you're going to do, you're going to most times take that 92% average road right in the middle. So to actually get off the elephant, and imagine putting a fence, right, and blocking off that entire 92%. So the elephant has to pick between, the 4% of the top or the 4% of the bottom. Meaning he has to pick the really hard road to greatness or the real lazy, like shitty road to be a zero. You take that middle out, you're going to have to pick between those two, and the elephant will move and will pick. And it's very hard for people to comprehend that being really terrible is actually the second best thing to do to being really great. Really great is number one. If you're really terrible, at some point you will change. You will see that you yourself, right, will actually say, the problem is me.
Yeah.
I keep making this terrible choice. I'm getting the exact consequences of it, and you will feel the pain of it. So then you will try to go for great. It's the average that keeps you zombied, dead, complacent. It's the average that actually prevents you from touching greatness. And in some bizarre way, now with AI and robot, infused AI coming, average human performance will get replaced across the board. And it's coming for you so fast. And I think the average human being knows this.
Yeah.
And most human beings know this.
Yeah.
You might not want to think about it. You might not
Yeah.
really fully register it until maybe hearing it right now in lip. But the average human being, your job to get replaced literally by next month. Someone will say, whatever you're doing right now, oh, they found a tool to do it.
Mhm.
And it's going to happen. So the notion of saying, I need to block that path for myself. Otherwise, I am going to be worth nothing. And so the need to actually work at this harder than people think. Is that a little heavy, right?
It's heavy. I'll do like a little commercial break and we're gonna
Yeah.
come a little slower.
It's
False.
kind of like morning
No,
still.
it is. Morning?
Yeah, I'm saying it's
Like
kind of early morning still.
Oh.
Some people are still trying to have their coffee, and apologize to those who joined Lip and you're like,
No.
what the hell is this?
No, this is part of it. You gotta
But-
start off the morning. Let's
We
go.
want you to win. I mean,
This
the
is the
purpose of
best.
doing Lip is to help you win. So
We're gonna go into actually some of the tips, but if you're following on Instagram and Twitter, Charlie and I are trying to just start to share more of what we're doing on the social media side, which we haven't done in a really long time. So just sharing some of the posts this
sorry,
week.
really long being like since
forever?
the invention of it.
Since
we-
the invention of social
Now, since the
media.
invention of social media, we have deliberately tried to keep a minimal footprint, and to just not engage on any of those for many, many reasons. And I can tell you what's them at some point. But we made the decision as of like a week and a half ago to flip that completely. So if you would like to continue any of these conversations, anything you like, please ping, question, DM, anything on Twitter for myself.
Yeah.
And for Megan on Instagram.
Yeah.
And we would love to have any discussions, any more
Yeah.
follow-up questions. I mean, we literally love mentoring, coaching, helping. So your issues and challenges, you can keep it in the direct messaging, or you can, even better, public learning debate, even better. So
Yeah.
please join that.
Cool. How we got to the class today, it actually started with some of the things we were posting this week and then on our train ride up here yesterday and then even into this morning. So it's as live as I mean, we're just as we're coming up with some of this stuff and thinking through this stuff. But it started with this quote, arrogance is not, I said this again. I said this, Charlie wrote it down and then tweeted it, which arrogance is not confidence. It's hidden insecurity. So that's a lot in there. We're going to kind of unpack. Arrogance is not confidence. It's hidden insecurity. So if you go to the next page, this idea of the difference between pessimist versus optimist when it comes to arrogance. Actually, both sides can get arrogant. Everybody can get arrogant. And last week we talked a lot about, and maybe the last few weeks, we've been talking a lot about the difference between optimists and pessimists and what to do and how to think. But from a pessimist side, I said pessimists don't think it will work out. When it does, by definition, it means you had an incorrect prediction. So I went through this whole process this week. I'll share maybe a little bit more about that. But if you actually mapped out all of the things that happened in your life, if you look at it and remember the prediction you had, which is a hard exercise to go through, and you realize, oh, I was wrong about that. 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 That didn't happen. This happened instead. You would actually realize over time, if you're aware, I just added a little, if you're aware versus you're unaware you're doing it, if you're aware you're doing it, you wouldn't be arrogant. But when you're unaware, because you don't actually go back and look at and kind of audit the trail of the predictions you made, what happened, what did you think was going to happen, and then what happened, you accumulate all these incorrect predictions, but you're unaware of it. It makes you very arrogant, very judgmental. This is a hard exercise to go through. I went through some of that.
Can I add maybe
Yeah,
to this?
yeah.
So as a pessimist like what a pessimist will do, the majority of a pessimist prediction is on the negative. So Megan's saying it was incorrect. It's
Right.
going to be a negative prediction that was incorrect.
Right.
Not that pessimists don't have any positive predictions.
Right.
Of course you do.
Of course I do.
Right?
Yeah.
And you might say, well, I have positive predictions that are incorrect. But the
Right.
size and volume of positive predictions for a pessimist
It's much
is
less.
so tiny. I would say if you ever do data analysis or
Yeah.
data mining, there's not enough data to do an analysis.
Right. The volume
Right?
of my predictions are good. By definition, by being a pessimist, the volume of my predictions are going to be pretty negative.
Yes, majority negative.
Majority
To the
negative.
point where the positive, in my view, is not worth analyzing because
Agreed.
there's insufficient data.
Yeah.
You don't have
Yeah,
enough
yeah.
examples of positive predictions to do a
Yeah.
complete analysis.
Yeah.
But you have a ton of negative.
Yeah.
And when you go look at the ones that you were wrong in, which
Yeah.
means your negative prediction was incorrect. And you look at
Yeah.
what happened, how did it work out?
Yeah.
You will see that your ability to make accurate predictions are not as good as you might think you are.
Right.
Which means right now, when you're making a negative prediction in the future,
You start to be more aware.
why do you have so much
conviction on it?
conviction,
Yeah.
so much certainty
Right.
on this prediction? And that conviction and certainty
Is
is what
arrogant.
arrogance is.
Yeah. I thought this is a very insightful point. You actually have to go through the exercise, even if you just did it for like the last few months and actually write them down. I was writing them down. And then, at first I thought I made some good predictions, right? And then as I went through them, I started highlighting the ones in pink and red. We used it for where I got it wrong. I realized like 9 out of 10 I had wrong. Like for instance, even, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, is it tough sometimes? Because I associate sometimes, like when we have a negative prediction of, and maybe an action we're thinking of taking, we then don't take the action. So it can be difficult to play out that prediction because you never actually took the action in the first
My
place.
only thought, Greg, is the next slide is about optimists.
Yeah.
I know.
And so I feel this issue probably may not resonate as much,
Okay.
where I agree, most pessimists don't take a lot of action. Because if it's not going to work out, why would you bet? Why would you invest the human energy? Why would you invest, the money, the time, when it's not going to work out? We make bets. We take action when we believe it's going to work out.
Yeah.
So actually, it's a good point because even as a team, even as a team or as a company, I went through the decisions, which a lot of them, you're right, were not driven by me. Like I didn't have a lot of faith in it. So for instance, our office space and flagship, I thought, no way are we going to find a way to get this office. I thought all the other options between the market and there's so many reasons. If I really audit myself, I didn't think we were going to win. I really don't. I could narrate, I believe. Oh no, I hoped I could, but I could narrate if I wanted to, like keep it really fuzzy. No, I believed. I felt that was the one. I cried when I saw it. That was the one. This is the right place for us. We're going to find a way. That's not true. I hoped, right? Hope is not faith, right? But yeah, a lot of it is like it's decisions that were made around me. I was part of, right? I feel like it will resonate for a pessimist to say, wait, that happened. Oh, we launched, Co Thursdays. You might think I didn't think that was going to work. Well, are you actually auditing yourself now and looking at it and saying, wait a second, it did work better than I thought. Well, what did you actually think? Well, do you remember what you thought and when you thought it and what was happening? Like, it's not as decisions are being made around you. You know,
Mhm.
you're part of the team. That's like part of that. It may not be the decisions you made,
Right.
but this is what leads to arrogance. In fact, I have a little thing I was going to share after. Let me
Okay.
kind of go to the next one and then I'll summarize it. But so optimist, Charlie wrote this, but
Yeah.
do you want to
Sure.
say it or do you?
Yeah, optimists think it always works out. Their incorrect prediction, which is judgment, is that it's fairly easy. When in reality, success requires overcoming many more challenges in the nuances. Being grounded in reality, seeing the hard details, and vulnerably exposing them is hard for an optimist to do. When they do this over and over again, as in these accumulated incorrect predictions of it'll work out, as in I think it's going to be pretty easy, arrogance in their positive predictions is basically what happens. And this notion that we shared before in an earlier leadership and practice class, that extreme extreme positivity, extreme negativity both actually do the same thing, make you do nothing,
Right.
They make you lazy. And so to understand how our blind spot here, of how we become arrogant is not a good term,
Right.
and it's interesting to think of a pessimist as arrogant.
Yeah,
Most
it
people think
is.
pessimists are so insecure, right?
Yeah, no.
But they're arrogant in their belief
Right.
that it's not going to work out.
Right.
Just like optimists are arrogant in their belief.
It's going to work
Yes.
out. So both sides go arrogant.
Yes.
And neither is confident. They're both hiding in
That's not
insecurity.
confidence.
It's not.
Arrogance is false confidence.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So
How we build false confidence. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
True conviction, healthy certainty is vastly different than false conviction, which is arrogance. Pessimists convinced it won't work out, that their negative predictions are generally accurate. Optimists convinced it always works out, that their positive predictions are generally accurate. That arrogance, that false conviction, that is false confidence.
I just figured something out. Go to the next page. No.
Okay.
Can I go beyond this? Go to the next. You guys, I actually, so this is my language, and then I put it through the AiCoach. So if you haven't used our AiCoach, Laura will put it into the chat. But I actually put this through our AiCoach and said, explain this and help me make sense of this. Like, how would you take this language and make it like tighter? But this is interesting because the question you just asked, Greg, or the idea of a pessimist, it's funny. The AiCoach called it passive leadership, which I'm now realizing is brilliant, actually.
Interesting.
As a pessimist, I am a passive leader as a pessimist because by default, I don't think it's going to work out. So why pull the trigger? Why bother? Why put the energy in? I'm a passive leader as a pessimist.
Wow.
I know. I just figured that out.
That's leading.
I knew there was something.
I love
Actually, go to the next page. I'll show you what AiCoach said.
Jesus.
This is interesting. It said the downwards. When I read this, I had like you kind of pass over real quick, but then I highlighted it last night before I went to bed. I was like, oh God, I think this is what it is. If you come in the morning, starting point, and you don't have a clear mission, like personal, you're making it personal, you default to owning others' directions. When it fails, you get cynical and you use the phrases like, I knew this wouldn't work, right? As a pessimist. Now you develop defensive arrogance over time. Your fear actually grows because if things are failing, you seek distractions to cope. This is how the AI chat said. And the end result, it increases, sorry, this little thing just popped up. It increases resentment and stagnation. This cycle repeats daily, creating a deepening pattern of disengagement and missed growth opportunities. Breaking it starts with establishing your own mission and taking ownership of outcomes. Can you go back for a second? I want to show you how I said it. This is how I said it. I said, I'm struggling with this, right? I said, my daily problem is I lack self-driven mission. I'm looking at like Charlie and the company mission, and I'm looking for others' mission. It means I'm following someone, is what I said. Like I'm following, and you're following like a boss, a leader, a manager, but in general, I will follow Charlie. And when things don't work, I'm very judgmental about it. And I say things like, I knew it wouldn't work out. I knew it would be harder. See, like, I won't say that before we do it, but I have all this like hidden judgment. And that's what creates my arrogance. Because I've always wondered, like, why I can come across very arrogant, but I think I'm not. Like, this is what led to all of this. And this is why over time it's accumulating. But it's accumulating daily. It's accumulating weekly. And then if you think about, I've been working with Charlie for 27 years. And even if you've been working with a team for a year, you're accumulating daily accumulated baggage of predictions you made that were incorrect, but you believe you're right. That's what creates arrogance. And like the small ways, but like some big decisions, but even like really small ones, you'd be shocked if you actually started to be aware of it, how many predictions you're making that you believe something was going to happen and you're wrong. I mean, it could be, I'm going to be in the kitchen, someone's going to walk in, say something that triggers me. Wait, that didn't happen today. I was wrong. Like something as small as that. Or I didn't get, good sleep. I'm not going to have a good day. Do you actually audit yourself and say, actually, I was kind of being a little wimpy. I didn't get a lot of sleep, but I was able to have a good day today. Do you actually go through, and that's truly being aware. So what ends up happening for me is, because of this arrogance, increases my fear because I'm not making decisions. But I think intuitively, as like human beings, we know if there's something we want to get done and we're not getting it done, it increases our fear because you're like, things aren't happening, it's not working. So you start getting, more paranoid. And then the default, because you feel incapable, is you start looking for distractions. So let me find a side project, right? For me, it could be like my health or exercise or my kids. Like I'll find something to distract myself on. And then it builds resentment. Then I'm not leading and taking charge. And then I'm not learning and I fall further behind. It's like this vicious cycle of what happens. So the next page is what the AiCoach, I keep saying AI chat, AiCoach actually threw at me.
Sure this.
So yeah, so on this, this idea is that, so this phrase, mission first, people always, the idea of that is the mission always comes first. If you start with what I want to get done, the company's going to get done, what I'm going to get, but what I'm going to do to accomplish that mission starts with mission. Then you have to look at yourself. I think where it goes wrong is you come in, like there's a really important mission, a lot of hard work to get done. What is everybody else doing? What should they be doing is the worst. That is like, it is terrible because you're coming in already saying somebody else should be doing something. Someone else has got to get this done. Why are they not doing that? If you start with yourself, all your development areas of what you need to work on will pop out. So hardest mission first, you going after your hardest mission. If you go after hardest mission, you'll realize all your deficiencies. That's like in your own development. Then if that's too hard because your development and your struggle, you go to something like a little bit lower tier, harder, easiest. Worst case, you go all the way down to the easiest, right? But then knowing you have to go back up to the hardest mission. The better me, better you is a little.
But the part that
tell
you
me.
mentioned here, where
Yeah.
you look for distractions.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
And
Those are
then
the
leaning and
easiest.
falling further behind.
Yeah.
We lose track and lose sight that the hardest mission is what is going to pay off.
Yeah.
And the other stuff is not. So when you go and say it's too hard for me, I need to take a break on something harder or easier, recognize that as soon as you gain momentum, which has got to be done fast, you go back to the hardest.
Mhm.
Everything is about pointing all energy towards the hardest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not all, but maximal energy. At the same time, you are the difference maker. First and foremost, before you get acceleration from others helping. Others could be teammates, others could
Yeah.
be bosses, others could be subordinates. This notion that we don't think about ourselves, we count ourselves out,
Yeah.
and then you're like somebody else
Yes.
will get things done,
Yeah.
right? And so if you can match the constant investment in self because every investment you make in yourself, learning, developing, and when I think about learning and developing in self, we'll talk about this a little bit. I was thinking about this morning walking over here,
Okay.
the whole PEMS framework. We might even bring that back.
Mhm.
PEMS was a framework we got from Jim Lear. It's a pyramid where at the bottom it starts with physical. Physical is, sleep, exercise, or we say exercise, nutrition, sleep, in that order on purpose, because that's the best way to attack it. Exercise, usually when you do it consistently, makes you eat healthier.
Yeah,
If you do both of those, you tend to sleep better.
Yeah.
You do it the other way around and it doesn't work. Just because you sleep better does not mean you'll work out more nor eat healthier, right? So,
Yeah.
so although yes, the other stuff can impact when you're more tired, you tend to skip workouts and eat more unhealthy food.
Mhm.
But the way we found to attack it, sequence really matters. So physical is the bottom, which is the PEMS for P.
Mhm.
E is emotional. Think of emotional about your emotional state.
Yeah.
Can I get my energy at the highest level? Can I tame my mind on all my negative energy? All the I can't do it and I feel scared, frustrated, whatnot. Can I tame it and go after?
Yeah.
Bring up that fire, the courage. And so that's E, emotional. Mental is, think of mental as like technical skills. Can I learn how to do something? Can I learn how to use AI? Can I learn how to, public
Yeah.
speak? Can I learn the technical skills? And that's mental. And then S is spiritual. The notion of spiritual is not religion, but the act of helping other people. Can I find somebody else who has less than me? And can I help them? There's always somebody who has less than you, less money, less knowledge, less energy. So can I actually build a pyramid starting with physical, going to emotional, going to mental, all the way up to spiritual, which is PEMS? Can I bring my fully engaged self in all 4 quadrants? And if you do, on a scale of 1 to 4, right? If you score 4, 4, 4 across all 4, is what Jim Lear called sweet 16.
Yeah.
Can I bring my sweet 16 level of human energy to the hardest mission on a daily basis? You bring sweet 16 on a daily basis to your hardest mission, and oh my God, it's so hard, I can't do it. I'm going to take an oscillation and work on something easier or harder, but I'm going to bring my sweet 16 energy again, right? And this time, since it's easier, I'm going to try to do it maybe twice as fast or twice as well, with speed, and then go back as soon as I feel momentum back to the hardest. And momentum, by the way, is in the emotional. When you feel momentum, you feel like on a high.
Yeah.
When you feel on a high, you feel empowered. That is an emotional energy you will charge up, and then you will go and try the hardest again.
Right.
The goal is you will not win unless you, as in self, are the driver of accomplishing and winning on the hardest missions. So that practice has to come in. Yeah.
That's good.
Okay. So practical tips. So go ahead.
Can I put
Yeah,
in
please.
my thinking for the optimist downward cycle?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Oh,
Oh, and Tom said, by the way, Tom
Yeah.
said, wait, hold on. Tom said something. I think you said it hits close, spiral is close to the bottom.
No.
I got it right for the pessimist.
I want to hear Greg's
Yeah.
downward cycle.
I just
Oh,
I just-
what'd you put?
posted it.
Oh, you did?
Okay,
Right here.
So this is just as you were talking, I was like,
Okay.
I see it in the chat. Everyone can see it.
Oh,
The
interesting.
hard mode
okay, go
piece,
on.
which helped me a lot because it made me more aware of what a pattern that I think I've had.
Okay, go ahead and share it. Can you say it?
So
out
I
loud?
said, so I'm excited I deal more. So, but I think it's shallower belief than I'd like to believe or admit. I then share, I can get others excited.
Mm-hmm.
So it's,
Yeah,
then 3, not always, but often I'll get early momentum because I have initial ideas around the momentum,
yeah.
which then I'm excitement over the first 2 inches and I
Right.
share it. But
Right.
then problems and harder challenges show up, of which I get frustrated. So it's like now I have frustration, probably embarrassment of like, okay, this is now harder. I got everyone excited. Now I'm like, oh, I start to doubt how, so then I get quiet, I don't expose. And then, I can move on to next project idea, I get distracted. And so I think an accumulation of that is that over time, I start to self-select kind of easier wins that like I can see all the way through versus like the harder project piece. So anyways, that was my
Yeah,
intuition of hearing you of like
yeah.
my pattern of
Meaning like, it's so interesting because it's like that first part 1, excited idea will work out, but it's shallower. It's probably more in that 50% idea. We keep saying like no idea is fully there. But like,
it's like there's always
yeah.
a fuzziness
Yeah.
between like, okay, a bigger win versus the first 2 inches. And so I can be okay to be like, I kind of believe it.
So Greg, just as you did this, I'm going to pull up, since I just literally punched your thing into AiCoach. Let us read what
I'm
it
so
says.
curious what the head coach is gonna
Right.
say. It's gonna say,
So-
put that in the slide, but that's smart.
Here,
So if it's gonna call mine passive leadership, what's yours? What's they're
Yes.
gonna say?
So-
What's
and here's
the
this-
bullet
here,
that's
give me a
coming?
second. Okay, so I just literally took Greg's chat, put it into AiCoach, says, help me say this better.
Okay.
So this is what it says. Insight. The pattern of initial excitement followed by retreat when facing challenges is a classic optimist journey through the swamp. You start with a fragile foundation of partial commitment that can't withstand real obstacles. Challenge.
Sorry.
The challenge, reframe problems and embarrassment as expected markers of hard mode rather than signs of failure. That's interesting. So as it gets hard, you have to say, oh,
Ooh,
I
ooh.
picked the right project.
Right.
It's hard, right?
Yeah.
Which that your lesson on that hard mode was a definite
Yeah, you come back to that
mindset.
all.
It
Yeah.
just- it corrected like almost the initial part of my downward spiral. I think.
Interesting.
It's cool because you have to realize solving easy problems, usually everyone's doing it. It's the hard problems everyone avoids. So learn how to be that difference maker in solving hard problems. So hard mode, when you see the problem, reframe it as, wait, I picked a hard problem, right? They actually validate you're working on something worthwhile. Action, make exposing problems your deliberate strategy by leading from weakness. Openly share challenges and iterations to break the cycle of retreat to easy wins. Additional point, the greatest insights come from situations that make you uncomfortable. True growth requires embracing embarrassment as part of the process rather than avoiding it to protect your optimist identity. So the longer version, let's see, dive in. Your self-awareness about this pattern is powerful. This is a classic optimist journey through the swamp, where initial excitement meets reality. The key insight is that you're not fully committed from the start. Shallower belief than I would like to admit.
That's what Greg said.
This creates a fragile foundation that crumbles when facing real challenges. It's powerful, right? Think about like how shallow the actual commitment and belief to want to do something is. So when you face challenge, you're going to crumble.
But see, this is where the belief in your ability to actually figure it out matters a lot, because every hard problem, every hard challenge is going to come with, it's going to start off like, oh, this is good. Like I can do this.
Yeah.
Inevitably, it's going to hit. You're going to have to figure out what to do next, right? Which is where the true confidence has to, right? What did I say?
True confidence comes from from first conviction and conviction, and you keep going, and then you overcome and you win. You will build confidence.
Right.
Confidence doesn't come from the winning.
Right.
It comes from persevering through that difficulty.
Right.
So the next time you see difficulty, you're like, oh, I can do this because I've done it before.
Right.
As opposed to, you know what? The first lens people put through is it going to have a win?
Yeah.
Is there a bowl of candy at the end of this thing? Or is there a bag of cash at the end of this? Or else I'm not doing it. And that's not confidence.
No.
You're actually developing false confidence or fragility. Said instead of viewing problems as signs of failure, reframe them as expected markers of being in hard mode. When you hit point 4, problem/embarrassment, that's actually validation you're working on something worthwhile. The pattern of retreating to easy wins is a defensive mechanism protecting your optimist identity. Consider, what if you made exposing problems your strategy? Leading from weakness, openly sharing challenges and iterations could break the cycle and build authentic momentum through difficulty rather than avoiding it. As you noted in past leadership and practice sessions, the greatest insights come from situations that make you uncomfortable. The path forward isn't about avoiding embarrassment, but embracing it as part of the growth process. So
What did you prompt, Charlie? What did you prompt it to do?
I just gave Greg
Okay.
exactly what,
Okay.
here, you see the
Yeah,
prompt?
no, it's good. I
I just said, help me say this better. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I asked.
I
AiCoach.
literally
Okay.
just pasted in Greg's
It's cool. That's
exact thing.
That's what I did. All right, good. I
Yeah.
like it. It's cool. We'll put this in for, there's an optimist vicious cycle and there's a pessimist vicious cycle. There's
Okay.
like, huh?
You know.
No, I
Okay.
I got it.
Okay.
I got
All right.
it. Yeah.
Practical tips. So let me just get a bird's eye view of what's in here, since I put the
Yes.
slides, but we did it so
If there's
fast.
any questions into the chat, let me just look real quick. Is there anything else as we're just kind of, before we go into it, anything else? Just put it into the chat. Any thought?
Yeah. Anybody more have questions on this so far? Before we
It
jump
was just Greg.
the shock.
Jump the shack.
Okay.
All right.
So ways we're attacking this. So this is a diagram I put. I was going back and forth with some stranger, as you do on the internet. And this notion of metrics and how many people talk about how you can't, what's that phrase? You can't improve what you can't measure, or you have to inspect what you expect. If you can't measure it, you can't, do it and whatnot. And so this individual it has a lot of followers, was kind of schooling everyone on the internet about how important metrics are and how it's really quite simple. Every business has 100 metrics. You just have to figure out what they are. And I was like, just 100, right? And then it's like just 50 programs on 100 metrics. And as I read it, I was like, I hope this is like a joke, because so I had a response like, this is horrible. Like, it's horrible advice. And I think this question of why is it metrics are harder and harder today than it ever was. Why is it that the days of actually saying, figure out your top 5 metrics and then your top 20, build a metric dashboard and just follow the metrics and the business will succeed? Why is that not working? Now, a lot of people aren't talking yet about it, but why did the whole managing metrics fall apart? Now, the main reason is this, that first, we're not doing a lot more work that's certainty. Certain work that has certainty, that you can logically break down into steps, that is being done so rapidly by AI and by computers and systems that the work that's really remaining that you have to figure out what to do with is the stuff that's filled with uncertainty. And the greatest uncertainty, actually, human beings. People are so uncertain. They're constantly adapting, adjusting, and changing. Think of if your entire market was a bunch of teenagers, right? I mean, like it's like they're shifting gears, and forget about online, but if you had to do something in person, like say your job as a teacher, good luck dealing with that class, right? Between all the jokes of 6, 7 and this and that, and then adjusting, and like there's this notion that they're moving and changing so rapidly.
Yeah.
That a business in general is trying to build something that is useful, that is helpful to other human beings. Think of how difficult it is to figure out how to systematize that, how to break it down into measurable steps that you can then say, go run this process.
Yeah.
That whole business process engineering that just took off years ago is so difficult to do. The metrics, the ones that matter most, especially driving revenue profitably for most businesses, move up if you do the left side correctly. And so instead of obsessing on the metrics, spend no more than 5% of your time looking at the metrics. You have to look at it.
Yeah.
But because you have to get a sense of, is it working? Is it moving in the right direction? Recognize the real key is what's happening on the left side. So the middle part of the diagram, I put talking to users. Talking to users actually is a true statement in both on the mission, product, business side, but also on the self-development side. Meaning on the mission front, the single biggest mistake people make is you keep building stuff, but you don't have any conversations, even with one user. One user conversation, the case study of one, and then you look for a case study of two.
Right.
Do it so thoroughly, so depthful, that you're actually analyzing a user even more than they know themselves.
Right.
That's, by the way, much harder than you think.
Yeah.
Most people think, well, I asked the user and they said this and I'm done. No, most people don't know what they want, right? Remember the whole,
surveys.
the mistake of miswanting. We think we know what we need, what we want. It's not true, but you'll watch what people do when they're given choices, and then you have to watch and adjust and theorize. So the notion of understanding a single user, doesn't matter who it is, it seems so unscalable, so inefficient. It is the single biggest mistake people make. One user. Then you look for two before you can actually go to hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands. So on mission first, programs, products, you look for that first, and mission first. The second thing is on people development, self-development. But once again, we don't like to talk to users, right? I'm sure now you can talk to AiCoach, you can talk to ChatGPT, you can talk to, you need to talk to other human beings, not strangers, by the way, right? A paid therapist is better than nothing, but you want someone that is around you, that is seeing you almost all the time. And the reason is where things go wrong is not in the instance you have to perform on the Zoom screen or in the meeting. Where things are falling apart, where the greatest opportunity for fixing is literally on all the stuff that's happening in your automatic that you don't think is that important.
Right.
And so the people who can see that, you want to be talking to them about you. You want to get them to start, telling you, criticizing you. The David Goggins, right? They're the ones that are giving you a pass. The people closest to you are giving you a buy or a pass. And he said, I gave my, he's a close friend, right? Gave him a pass. You need to play the role in finding a way to push them to not give you a pass. You want to be great, right? You don't want to be replaced by AI being average. You need to play contact sports with real users and make it easy for them to give you full truth, critical truth, like as in just nitpick the shit out of me, right? Don't let me try to see if I can phrase this right now. I don't care about the phrasing, insult me, use more offensive words. I just want the truth as rapidly out of your mouth as fast as possible, right? Don't ever give me a break. Like that is the message you want to convey. Now, a lot of people say, well, don't ever give me a break. No, I would like some breaks. Now, see, I'm already downgrading to the average. I'd like you to be tough for me in the right plates, but I want you to give me enough of a break. So yeah, don't go full on hard. I want you to go right in the middle average, right? That's death.
Yeah.
Death
Interesting.
comes from that average, that complacent zone of sometimes truth, sometimes coddling, right? Sometimes I, like say that annoys me. Other
Yeah.
times I just kind of
Let
say
it
nothing.
go. Yeah.
That combined force is what creates average.
Hmm.
Now, before you get to all of that, on the left side, energy management, human energy, talk about PEMS. PEMS is what ultimately drives human energy. Sweet 16. Do you understand where your energy score is in any given point? Because to be able to do hard things, big missions, you have to bring full energy. So I'll talk about this kind of chart put together, my energy score chart. So this chart, think of it from 0 to 10. Bad energy, right? I mean, we've all been there when we have 0, 1, 2. Put some of your own personal bullets under this. When can you last remember 2 examples of when you were 0, 1, 2? I mean, just think about physically just out. So you're talking about like I feel as out of shape as possible. I can remember, right? I'm eating poorly. I'm sleeping poorly. That's physical health. Emotional health, right? My head's a mess. It's spinning. It's spiraling. I have so much I can't even think straight. It's almost like I need like Advil on a daily or Motrin on a daily basis just to get the spinning to stop. Think about the mental side of things, which is I feel like I have no skills, right? All the skills I used to have are worthless now with AI and everything else. So I feel like I know nothing that is of technical value, right? And I feel behind against everyone else's expertise. The spiritual, right? I am the poorest out there. There's nobody, right? Like I am like just who would listen to me? Who could I help? Right? I am the bottom of the bottom. That notion of, and remember the whole devil's breakfast, 3 ways, right? 3-course devil's breakfast. That notion of think of when it's your worst, remember in detail, because you need some anchors to remember examples that are real. And ideally the real examples, 35 years ago when I was, like 5 years old. I'm sure I'm not 40, but you know what I mean? Like that notion of recent examples that make it come alive.
Yeah.
Then what is a 3, 4? A 5 is truly in the middle of I don't know, right? We do have instances where I can be in the middle. I don't know if I can go to the right or the left. That does exist. 6, 7 is, like obviously more on the positive side, but 8, 9, 10. The energy that is required for you to generate is 8, 9, 10 energy. And 8, 9, 10 on a physical, P, on an emotional, E, on a mental, right, M, and a spiritual S. Sweet 16. Can I bring 8, 9, 10 energy? Like, boom. Like, and how long does it take to go from wherever I am now to 8, 9, 10? So I'm going to give you my hand-drawn version. So it's kind of interesting. You can put the hand-drawn version in AI and just makes this. So I didn't put this version because it'd be too much. But here is where false confidence shows up. Block this middle zone. So remember, the first thing is you have to assess where you are, right? You wake up in the morning, and the most important thing is to understand in the morning. When you wake up in the morning, right? In the first 30 to 60 minutes, do a good audit of where you're at. Today I'm at a 6, 7, or today I'm at a 3, 4, or I really don't know, I'm at a 5, or I'm really in the wrong side, 0, 1, 2, right? You have to know where you are, right? And you can start to figure that out within the first 30 minutes of waking up. And then recognize that when you get to work, you need to generate 8, 9, 10 energy and attack the hard problem. Say again, when you get to work, you need to generate 8, 9, 10 energy first before you get to work on the hard problem. And you want to ideally do that, right? From when you wake up by the first hour. The first 60 minutes, I'll give you a little bit more time since you're a little bit noobs here. Maybe you get up to 120 in the first 2 hours then, right? And ideally go to the first hour. The first 2 hours of waking up, can you assess properly where you are? Then do what you need to do to generate 8, 9, 10 energy, and then point that energy in the direction of your hard mission. You do that, and you start the week this way, you will accumulate good things over time. If you don't, you're going to get where you're getting, which is mediocre performance. And you have to realize, right? And I put David Goggins' language here. If you are not fucking angry at average, if you do not see that as toxic poison, as false confidence. And what was the title of the slide? False confidence
Yeah.
will something really bad,
Yeah.
right? I can't remember what it was.
Will hurt you.
Will hurt you. It's like disaster,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If you don't block that path as the comfortable choice that we keep making, you will not actually do the work to generate 8, 9, 10 energy.
Mm-hmm.
And you will see over time how hard it is to generate it that fast. But you will also see you're making excuses of I can't, right? You might wake up and be like, shit, I had a really bad night's sleep. I only got like 6 hours sleep last night. Well, the Navy SEALs found out the average human only needs 1.5 hours of sleep a night, and they can still do all their crazy stuff. So that means you got 4x what is needed, right? Jesus, 4x, not even 2x. So let's go, right? And by the way, it's 1.5 averaged over 3 days. So if you got 4.5 hours sleep in one night, you could actually put 2 all-nighters and still do fine, like as in perform high level. So that means like whatever excuse you have in sleep, right? Or if you have a food excuse, oh my God, I haven't eaten like since last night. I'm like, do you know how long you could probably go without eating? Quite a long time. They say, I think water is 3 days, but food, I think, is around 30 days. There's so much food that you've stored in your different pockets of your body. You can just eat that away. Don't make an excuse. Let's go. The emotional front, right, is all stories. And so to recognize the stories that you want to generate. So on the 0, 1, 2, but what are your stories of 8, 9, 10? Think of your stories of 8, 9, 10. And by the way, when I say 8, 9, 10, when it's self-driven success, not like, whew, God, I joined that team right as they're about to take off, and wow, I had such good energy just borrowing from their win. No, when you faced hardship, when you pushed and pushed on a consistent basis, overcame and won, look for those examples. Now, if you go into, shoot, I don't have any I even think of, well, it's kind of more reason to start doing this right then, no? Like, let's make those examples, because that is totally what you can do. So this is another messy slide, but if I said the whole key to life here is first on top, recognize the win is self to the hard, right? It's you making a difference in the hardest mission. That's winning.
Yeah.
When you realize you working in this middle zone of average is effing losing, right? The easiest, nobody cares. So imagine if you oscillated only between the easiest and the hard. You see how, like, at some point, you will not tolerate yourself. You will not be able to stand your low standard of, I only do the easiest stuff that no one cares about, right? And then I work on the hard. If you X'd out the middle, you will not be able to justify your salary, your waking up, you will literally feel so shitty, you will force yourself to change. Blocking the stories, the value, the justification of this mediocre stuff in the middle, that is how we're actually staying false confidence, false conviction, false value add. Learn to block that so that you can start to become great. Now at the bottom, this is something we had used a while back, and I think it's kind of going to come back probably more in stronger force. Core versus exploratory. This is days in the week. The core meaning attack your hard problem, including put yourself on the line Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, starting right from the morning. If you make that investment consistently, by the end of the week, you will be able to reap some of the benefits. You will be able to reflect. You'll be able to think about, like, other creative ideas. You'll be able to even spend time, and I was going to teach a whole class about, how many times we come in and we're like, oh, my energy every day is like 0, 1, 2. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? And so there's a whole class I was going to teach that's the whole cow out of the ditch versus preventing the cow from getting in the ditch. You can do that exercise of analyzing why is this happening Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
Stop trying to answer. Right. So that's
Or eventually,
some beautiful
could also
slides
be
of
at the
this.
end of the day. Could also be at the end of the day as you reflect on whatever it may be, right? Because that's what actually happened Monday night, right? I was like, God, Charlie won't share why his energy was low in the morning because he's looking to generate the 8, 9, 10. But then when it gets quiet, like around 8 o'clock at night, now you're starting to hear like what you're reflecting and analyzing. So the idea is at the end of the day or the end of the week.
So we had built this before. Monday, attack difficult. By Friday, you can dream a lot, right? Or you dream a lot if you want, if you get a lot done. The start of the week is Monday, the start of the day, right? So meaning Monday, Tuesday tend to be way more important to attack with 8, 9, 10 energy, the difficult, hard projects. Get to hard work energy, bring it, and then attack it. And if you do, by the end, you can reflect, you can analyze, why do I wake up every morning with such low energy? Why? Like,
Yeah.
and you're spending time wondering and trying to answer that, and time is ticking. You don't have time for that, which is why there's a great story of the cow. When the cow is in the ditch, first get the cow out of the ditch so you can start to get the cow productive. At some point, step 2 is, how do I prevent the cow from going in the ditch? So that was a whole story I was saving for later, but since I shared it, I didn't save it for later.
Okay.
But I had one more slide in that mix. This was the same thing before AI made it prettier. Yeah. So Goggins is interesting.
Oh yeah.
There's another quote I have. This was the more advanced section of the class, talking about how things have a way of working out, is what he said. Except remember, Goggins is generating 8, 9, 10 energy and applying it in the most focused and hard missions. So of course they have a way of working out. If you come in with mediocre energy, right? Mediocre to low energy, and you apply it to projects that don't matter as much,
Things aren't going to work.
things
out.
aren't going to work out, right? So the average pisses him off. So you can see he's blocked that path. So he's not picking average projects.
Which is why
And
he
low
gets it.
standards, low energy pisses him off, right? So he's generating high energy no matter the day he feels. And you apply that to not only the mission first, hard programs, but self-development, things will work out. You have to do that
Yeah.
consistently.
It is interesting. It's the 8, 9, 10 energy on the mission, the hardest mission, and on yourself. And if you do that consistently, things will work out. Right.
Should we do some questions, or should I go to the advanced?
Do you guys have any questions or thoughts? Let me just look in the chat. I think Terry had said a reason I chose optimistic approach is because I feel there's less suffering. Sounds like either side has some
Yes.
suffering to some, yes.
Hmm.
I think everybody has suffering.
It's interesting about the optimists. The optimists, like, we tend to look at pessimists, right? I say we, because I tend to. Everyone's in balance, by the way. So
Yes.
if you're like, I'm right in the middle, I'm like, you're like the most obtuse person. So don't believe it. Don't be oblivious. Like, recognize we all bent in one direction. And usually, if you can't answer, ask your like spouse, or ask your children, or ask your coworker, and they'll pick without even thinking. Meaning, so it's that obvious. And so you're wrestling with something that's that obvious.
Yeah.
Optimists look at pessimists and think they're always suffering, right? They're making up problem after problem, and then they're experiencing actually the failure before it even happens, or may never happen, and they just seem to be sick all the time, mentally and even physically. And we're like, that's pathetic, and I never want to do that, right? So we go, right, as optimists, and we're like, I'm just gonna do some good stuff. And as Greg said, that looks easy, right? Always works out. Let's go. Well, as soon as you start, things start to look not so easy, and it starts to show up with, like, did I pick the wrong project, right?
Yeah.
Or you know what? Whose fault is this, right? I counted on,
Yeah.
right, all these people doing their part right. I counted on the economy coming out correctly. I counted on the stock market moving in a certain direction. I counted on all these things, and like, it's all going against me, right? So like, instead of actually saying, wait a sec, if this is repeating, maybe
Yeah.
it's me,
Yeah.
that I am not recognizing.
Yeah.
Things are really hard.
Yeah.
And bad things are the default of what shows up. And instead of being good at overcoming that, as what AiCoach said, you're not recognizing how fragile you are, right? Optimists are like I'm trying to think of I think of a really dirty butterfly, or a really dirty ballerina, right? And what I mean by that is they're just floating around looking for something really easy to land on. And as soon as it feels like, actually, that was a pile of shit, they like go and keep bouncing around, looking for like an easy place to land, right? But instead of a butterfly, they're probably giant like flies.
Ew.
Right? They usually land on shit and just, like,
Ew.
meaning there's nowhere to land. You got to land somewhere. And so everything's full of shit. So like, maybe it's a bad analogy.
It's like flies to shit. And that's what a
No,
pessimist
so
is.
I'm saying, well, pessimists just think everything's shit,
Yeah.
and they're happy just being flies sitting and making a home out of the shit. But the butterflies are like, are actually flies too, but they're like, oh, I'm a butterfly, so I got to find flowers. And it's like everything's shit, so I can't land. And ooh,
Yeah.
looks like flour, so I land and find out it's a pile of shit.
And basically both a pessimist and an optimist end up in the same place, which is the hard work they have to learn how to get through.
Like
I mean,
true
isn't that
confidence,
ultimately-
true confidence.
It's
like we
coming
said.
through, yeah,
So
surviving and winning through difficulty. That's where confidence comes from.
now, all of this might just seem highly depressing and whatnot. So maybe this little part will help a little. I
Okay,
think.
go ahead. I don't
So let
remember.
me do this with Megan's impression. This is the class I was trying to teach, and then we shifted gears. It said pivot versus perseverance. This question everyone asks: when do you give up?
Yes.
Right? I get asked this question a lot. Tons of people in the leadership and practice class. When do you give up on a project, on a company, a job?
You hear the
right?
punchline of this, you
When
guys.
do you
Get
give
ready.
up? When do you give up on a person?
Ready.
Right? Like a
Yes.
coach,
Yes.
a teammate, right? A subordinate, a boss. Like, when do you give up?
Get ready for the
Right?
get
Great
ready for the
question.
spot.
Everyone wants to know.
Wait, before he goes on, put in the chat. What do you think the answer to that question is? When do you give up?
Yeah.
Think about that for a second.
yeah.
Let's have like a thought. Have a think. When do you give up?
Yeah. What's the crowdsourced?
When do you give up?
Yeah. You type
When's
all at
the
once.
time to give up?
Same time. Just start typing.
Never. Terry says never. Team UK is
Right.
never. with a
Never
question.
with a question mark. It's not really never.
I want to say never.
Okay, want to say never.
When do you give up?
When
the money runs out.
out. You'll be surprised.
When you admit you gave up already?
But like, I guess it's either on the mission or the, like, a
Just
person.
anything.
Yeah.
When do you give up on your own development? When do you give up on your health? When do you give up on a coworker, a friend? When do you give up on a subordinate? When do you give up on a project? When do you give up on a
Yeah.
job, a company? When do you give up? I mean, we're not going to go real dark with when you give up on life, but
Okay,
like,
okay.
no, but when do you give up? Right? I mean, world's full of annoying people. World's
Yeah.
full of like difficult projects making no progress. Like,
When do you call it quits? Yeah. When do you
Yeah.
end a project? When do you say
what's
no
your
more
logic?
working?
What's your mental model for giving up? Right? Yeah.
When cons outweigh
So-
the pros.
No, and so be truthful, because I mean, I know you're trying to put the right answer in that, Megan's trying to make you guess, but like honestly from yourself, what
Yeah.
is your mental model? What is the logic that you apply of when to give up? So in any situation, right? Think of like at least one or two just recently. What's the criteria? What's the signal that makes you say,
Yeah,
right?
Terry said that's more honest when I'm too tired of the battle. Yeah.
and the cons outweigh the pros?
Mhm. Yeah, when
When
you're
you
too-
see a better future, when you don't have anything to work for, there's no chance to win. When I'm too tired of the battle, when it's not worth the energy and no one's pushing me to do it, there's no more energy, and I feel like I can gain more if I invested energy time to something else.
Hmm.
By the way, it's
good.
interesting. Something else always
Right.
sounds better.
I know that the
Right?
grass is greener. I
Yeah.
know. I know.
New children.
Oof.
I could start again.
Yeah.
New wife.
Oof.
New parents even.
Jesus.
All I know now, if I could like program an AI perfect parent, perfect wife, perfect children, like even a new me, if I could redo like parts of me,
There's something else that's interesting. It's just calm.
and then you
There's
realize, right?
something else. There's
As-
something
as-
else.
as
Has hard
Butterfly
work.
Olivia goes, and kind of like every project, every other thing turned out to be shit. Right?
100% of my predictions are negative.
100% of my predictions are negative.
Talk
Talk about
It
false
does so negative.
confidence or arrogance, right? And 100% of my predictions are negative. Right?
Okay.
Um,
All right.
okay.
Okay. That was a fun little excursion. No, this is a good question, right? Greg is saying there's a reevaluation of your priorities, return versus effort. So if someone investing takes ongoing effort with little return, perhaps not investing in themselves, at least manage it to a different place, right? Not
But
necessarily giving up.
It's
not
tricky,
saying
like it's a
effort.
hard one, because I do think there's a belief, but also I can chase the same level of effort
Yeah.
without reevaluating it. Maybe that effort's not like, it might be a person, it might be a project. It's a hard question, because I think I've learned from you guys, it's not necessarily giving up in the long run, but I can be obtuse in the short run, that I keep the same level of intensity.
So here's what's interesting. So we talked about giving up, which is going down to zero, right? When do you go from 8, 9, 10 energy to anything below that? Think about how many
Yeah.
projects we choose.
To do, yeah.
It's not worth me going all out, right? It's not me worth losing my weekend, my sleep over, right? Like that notion of going David Goggins level all out.
Mm,
Every day I'm waking up and going at that versus like, is it worth that?
mm.
That's a lot of energy to spend. And it's very difficult to muster up. And that's a lot of energy to pour into that. So, like, when do you choose something that you initially started saying 8, 9, 10,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And when do you choose and how often do we choose to go lower than that? Because
I think it's less, maybe it's less important the person or the project but then yourself. Are you going 8, 9, 10 on anything? It can be easy to start to like say, well, it's that person or that project.
Oh, yeah.
The reality is I'm starting to lower my bar, putting that type of energy into anything.
it's so
Go into your presentation.
this might help because so Y Combinator, it's the biggest startup sort of like program out there in the world. And so, I mean, the people applying it like crazy. I think you spend like 3 months, you go to San Francisco usually, and now they do some Zoom, but so it's the hardest one to get into. And when you get into it, you almost get automatic checks. So people like, and it's built like some of the biggest companies, Airbnb and all these big ones came out of there. But so they do these things called office hours. So the people running it, right? Since they get a lot of views and reps of seeing different startup founders. And the top question that kept coming up and the hard questions was timing, this question of timing, like when, right? So it's not even about give up, but when do I know
Right.
how to give up or change course, pivot? Pivot often isn't like going to zero, but when do I give up on this idea or this feature or this thing? When, right? And they ended up sidebarring into this whole discussion around conviction. And when you hear someone speak, they said you can hear it in their voice. You know, it's not even the word choice. You can hear when there's conviction or not. And the necessary ingredient to succeed was conviction, first and foremost. So the fact that you can literally talk to anybody and you can literally put them in, they have conviction or they don't.
Right.
And you can hear it in their voice. The whole stop believing, right? What you're working on is going to work out. And then there's everything else. So when they see lack of conviction, it's the same as seeing they stop believing. Versus when they have conviction, you can hear it in their voice, and you can hear and you can feel that what they're working on is going to work out from their point of view. And what you're feeling here is 8, 9, 10 energy. They're bringing in sweet 16 PEMS energy into whatever this thing is they're working on. And they're doing it consistently despite the no funding, eating, like either sleeping on someone's couch, it's failing, no users, it's not working, and they still keep going. That conviction is required as the precursor before seeing success in anything you do or build, including your own development. That conviction. If you don't believe you can improve, right? Once again, you can't hear it in your voice, right? And you don't believe it's going to work out, you're going to do the opposite. You're going to take a mediocre shot at whatever it is, including growing myself, because I don't really believe it's going to work. And so this is the pivot question learned into a whole discussion around conviction. So Megan and I kind of like wrote different ways. Conviction comes from, this is me, investing energy, as in spending energy consistently in a focused direction.
Yeah, I just said it's the idea of concentrated energy in a direction. So it's a similar idea, right? You just kind of, yeah, that's what I mean, right? You're just pushing all of your energy into one, not one specific thing, but like it feels like it's going in a direction, right?
And so there was a whole piece that, and this is Goggins, that most people quit at 40% of their true capacity. Breakthroughs often come just beyond where most would give up, suggesting your perceived limitations will be self-imposed, right? So challenge saying distinguish between necessary pivots, premature abandonment, but examine your own engagement level first.
Yeah.
Are you aware of the energy you are bringing? Are you truly operating at full capacity, or are you protecting yourself from potential failure?
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you fail, we think, oh my God, everyone's going to be laughing at me, watching me. everyone's so engrossed in their own world and their own selves. They may laugh at you for a hot minute and then they move on. Like, this pivoting versus perseverance, the core tension. The challenge lies in distinguishing between necessary pivots and premature abandonment. The 40% rule suggests most people quit far before reaching their true capacity. Yet blind persistence isn't the answer either. So we're so fearful of that. Oh my God, you're a blind persistence person, right? You're just a blind optimist with blind persistency, which is the reason why I don't want that insult of a label
That's the
brand,
extreme.
which is why I will stop before I even come close to crossing that line. And David Goggins found that most people cannot even hit 40%. When you think you're done, right? No matter what, physically, mentally, you're at 40% at best.
Go back to the last slide, Charlie, the one right before that, because it says most people quit at 40% of their true capacity. Breakthroughs often come just beyond where most would give up. Right. So it's like that I think what you're saying here is that most people don't even know what they're capable of because they quit before they can it's like figure it out. I don't know how to
It's
say
like
it. They
this
quit right before.
self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
part of it.
So
Mhm.
this is the person that wrote this up said, one of my favorite quotes from David Goggins, when you think you're at your limit, you're
Nowhere near it.
yeah, 40% at best, right? Far more people give up too soon than too late. Far more people give up too soon. When we think we're at our limit, we're nowhere near it, right? It's not even nowhere near. And so then this is the last sentence, by the way, is the one that's kind of deceiving. If you just keep moving forward, things have a funny way of working out. For David Goggins, right? So meaning, if
you're in
you
that
bring sweet 16, 8, 9, 10, human energy, put it against a hard mission on a consistent basis, put it against your own self-development on a consistent basis, 8, 9, 10 energy. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at minimum, start of the day, let's go. Things have a funny way of working out. But if you go and put mediocre energy, right, on projects that are not that important or even hard, but or like, and you don't really work on even on developing yourself in anything beyond mediocre, and maybe focus on trying to point out other people's issues, and maybe then you'll do 8, 9, 10, right? Like when I want to point out other people's issues, I can bring 8, 9, 10 energy. Like when you do that repeatedly, don't be surprised that you're not winning. It's not working out. You're stuck in complacent, mediocre, like shit job, shit life, shit projects, versus this is what it takes to win. This is very hard, obviously. So I wanted to show this as the last thing. In fact, I'll play it without the sound because it had it was kind of neat.
It's interesting that we think we're at our limit and we're nowhere near it.
Okay. So like, because there's text, it's this French woman. I think it was Olympics maybe.
Yeah.
But it was a video showing how far back she is, and it's writing with her talking. I don't know why it's spinning, but she's that far back, right? Number 4. Look at the gap. So you can see her right there. There'll be no medals for the French. She's so far back. There's Ukraine, there's Britain, right? So at this moment, I feel my animal side come into play. Look how far back she is, right? From everyone. She says, so maybe, right? Like, look how far back she's fighting. She's fighting. Why not? And why not? Right? She will pass Russia. Come on.
Chills.
She wins the whole fucking thing.
It's fucking awesome.
Right? She's a monster.
It's just a decision she
Right?
made to push.
She's a monster. Like, you just look at how far, I mean, look at that. Look how far she is from everyone. And this is the final lap. Like, not even the, like, I mean, look at this.
Yeah. That's like light years
Everything gives
away.
up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
It comes out within like seconds. You
and
lose
she says, my animal side. This notion of none of us, right? And sometimes it starts with literally as simple as, you know what? I'm going to bring my animal side, and why not?
Yeah.
And imagine if you said, why not? Maybe, right?
Yeah.
Why not? Try it every day if you can. It's too much, right? So how about just try it Monday, Tuesday? If you can add Wednesday, fantastic. Just try that for 2 weeks, right? So today's already Thursday, so maybe you have to prep up. If you want, try it tomorrow, but if not, Monday, Tuesday, just 2 days a week. Try to start the day generating. First, recognize where you score, right? On that chart. You have to know where you score. You have to know where the starting point is. Because by the way, if you just journal and write it down, you will start to see, shit, I always start at a certain place, or I generally start somewhere. Then what I need to do to generate 8, 9, 10 energy. Not like, well, after I get to work and after I talk to someone and my boss or someone has to help me get there. No, this is self-generated 8, 9, 10. Self-generated 8, 9, 10, by the way, is very infectious. Do you ever go to the gym and try to do a hard workout? And when you're like not feeling good about it and not feeling I can, but you meet someone else doing 8, 9, 10, it'll get you there. But what happens when you meet someone who does 0, 1, 2? Now, here's what's interesting. It can also get you there. You see someone so pathetic, right? And they come in so freaking pathetic, it'll make you generate 8, 9, 10 because you don't want that. That's not living. That's a loser. So whether it's at the gym or work, when you see 0, 1, 2, it actually can be helpful.
Yeah.
So if you want to be a 0, 1, 2, at least do it fully exposed so somebody else gets fired up on your behalf. It's a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? It's that middle zone. How are you doing? Pretty good. How's your energy? Right in the middle, right? Leaning a little good, right? That is poison. That mediocre, mid-level, average energy is toxic. So bring it or bring the 0. Bring the 0 because you'll help somebody else snap out of it, or bring 8, 9, 10. Try that Monday, Tuesday. And remember to attack the hardest mission or hardest part of developing yourself. You do that, you got 2 levers to attack. Do that consistently. You'll be surprised that even after 2 weeks, you might see things work out. Should we do questions?
It's so interesting, all these like things that come out, like David Goggins, like all these really successful people say these words, you're like, ooh, if I just believe and have faith, everything's going to work out. It's going to work out. It's not true at all. It's because they don't realize what they're doing, and they're not teaching that part, which is they're bringing that 8, 9, 10 every day consistently at their hardest thing, which is why things have a funny way of working
Funny
out.
way of working out. I don't know if there are questions. Someone can unmute and not follow the chat. Happy to go to any slide. We can also have discussion from this room. So anybody online, if you want, I'd like to give people online first a chance.
Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead. Unmute.
No, I was just saying, for you guys personally, I'm sure it's different, maybe more for you, Megan, but like when you come in 1, 2, 3, like, is there a go-to thing that you do
Well, the problem
to lift up, or is it like
no, the
different
problem,
every day?
I think the challenge for me, because we're just figuring all this stuff out, the challenge for me, what I do, my bad habit is, well, I feel like I'm experimenting on stuff, but like not super deliberately, but I feel like one of my bad tendencies is I'm waiting to get into work to try to get into the right energy mode. Right. So it's like, I need coffee, I need breakfast, I need maybe some sunlight. Like I need to talk to Charlie. I need to like, so I feel like that's one of I think that's the challenge, right? Like, and this idea of right when you wake up, I've tried different things. Like I've tried looking at inspirational quotes. I've tried, doing the things people say, like, it's gonna be a good day. I'm gonna make it a good day. Like all the kind of affirmation stuff. Like none of that shit's really working for me. I mean, I'll dabble a little bit. Like I'll have inspirational quotes or quotes, images, things that I save into my favorites in my phone so I can pull it up really quickly. And it gets me from like a 0, 1, 2, where I wake up most days in that 0, 1, 2, given our whole situation, to a struggle. The 0, 1, 2, I wake up there. I can get myself into that middle zone to get to work. I can feel okay when I get there. I'm not figuring out how to get to the 8, 9, 10 before I get to work. That I have not tried music. I can get myself into a good mood, like feeling like kind of like I can push today, I can whatever, but I'm not puzzling the mission before I come in necessarily. So I don't know, it goes like into the ether. I have not figured that out. I don't know where the puzzling thing fits in.
Can I tell you like the first part? I mean, it's like David Goggins was here. I think he would say, like,
okay.
God, you sound so pathetic.
Okay.
And what I mean, and
Yeah, I
love my
appreciate it.
dad.
No, I'm.
But it's
I'm
almost
untriggerable
like
and
when you said
uncomfortable.
sun, you know, like, I mean, if you ever watched the Superman movies, right? Sun is how he gets his strength. How long did it take for him to get his strength back in the movies? It's seconds. He just goes, boom, sun. So how much sun do you need? You need like 45 minutes to get that charge because it's Superman needs seconds.
Yeah,
I look at you
Yeah.
sometimes with a song. How many 8 counts do you
it's
need?
probably one
I
you
mean,
count. I'm good.
I'm not even sure you need 8. You seem to know the song even as soon as it comes on, right? You
Yeah.
guess it so well. So
Yeah.
you have that right song. You don't even need the 8 count.
Yeah.
You need like 2 count. And
Yeah.
then you're like, I know what this is. And boom.
True.
Like,
True.
Meaning,
So that can get me in a good mood.
no, but what I'm
high
saying is this.
energy.
What I'm saying is
But-
first and foremost,
Okay.
I said,
Okay.
do you score yourself? And score yourself if you want across PEMS. Maybe
Yeah, that's
maybe the right thing to
interesting.
do is on that energy score. Score yourself across PEMS.
Right.
A lot of people start with I didn't get enough sleep. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I do when I do that is
Tell yourself about the Navy SEALs.
I got double the SEALs requirement, right? And we spent time training the SEALs and they were good physically. Mentally, they weren't as strong as they actually seem to be. I'm like, I think we're stronger than that. So I'm like, I got double what they do. I'm like, screw that. So I knock it out as one of my reasons. Like, so you can, if you figure out what your issues are, you
Yeah.
can knock it out,
Yeah.
right? Now keep in mind what I said about 8, 9, 10 versus 0, 1, 2, right?
Right.
And Tom just created a new category of 1 to 3. It's like don't do that. Like literally, low is low, right? And just dirt bottom low, 0, 1, 2.
Okay.
Like you can piss yourself off, right?
Mm.
Like if you narrate, right, how pathetic like you are, and maybe how pathetically someone else is looking at you,
Yeah.
you can piss yourself off and propel yourself by burying into 0, 1, 2 to propel to the 8, 9, 10. Like, so the reality of almost all of it is down to narratives and how
Yeah.
you storytell.
Yeah.
But since that usually is kind of the harder thing to master,
Yeah.
a lot of people start with all this other stuff. So you have the sleep thing, knock it out,
Yeah.
right? You have the food thing. You know what? Your body can survive and probably go full on strong for the full week, even if you ate nothing for the full week. You have that much food stored around your sacks all over the body. Like eat that. Like don't worry about other stuff. Like there's so many things that we like kind of victimize, helpless narrate ourselves into.
Yeah.
Like find a way to first recognize what they are
Yeah.
and then attack it, right? The whole
Mhm.
like nobody's as bad as me. That's on the S to me. On the spiritual, like no, there's a lot of people worse off. Just open the news,
Mhm.
read about any Venezuelan, or read about like you'll see
Yeah.
like there's entire communities just like they would dream to be where you are.
Yeah.
You would be like what they would hope in their biggest wish for God to come and say, I'm going to give you Megan's life, not yours. Like there are people who would dream
But
to
you
have
like
your-
look at Twitter, look at the news and do that for yourself every day. Like if you're a noob, like you
So-
do that by default, but like, are you
So
know what I mean?
Part of it's by default, but
Yeah.
it's happening so rapidly on the little
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
I'm giving the space to feel sorry for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I am
Then
actually
you
countering.
narrate. Yeah.
I'm countering it when I say I didn't get enough sleep is another night of bad sleep.
Yeah.
Boom. Right.
Right.
The other side is it's amazing how there's a coral, and we're going to teach this in the Leadership Academy. Doing hard physical things actually can help you generate the mental capacity to do hard mental things. So like lifting super heavy things, super heavy weights, and in the process, you have to parlay it into something difficult mental. So sometimes you're like, I can't,
Yeah.
I'm so tired, I can't lift like 30-pound dumbbells. Like, do it.
Actually doing it.
Right?
Okay.
Now you'll
Yeah.
say, I can't do 12. I don't care for 12. Do 1 and then
Yeah.
try to 2, right? And as soon as you start, you will see the exertion of that physical energy. And then you can say, you know what? I'm going to push that right into the hard project. Like, and so we're going to train this in this next Leadership Academy, teaching people how solo you can use lifting heavy weights to boom, go into difficult project breakthrough thinking. So I've taught the PP, the plank and push-up. I mean, that is definitely
Yeah.
a marker for me every day of when I cross from feeling weak, sorry, tired, not sure, till like, that's it, I'm attacking this day.
You go from the 0, 1, 2 into the 8, 9, 10.
It could be 0, 1, 2, it could be
Doing
3,
anything.
4, it could be right in the
Yeah.
5, or it could be like, I'm
And that
like,
will
it
get you
just,
into the 8, 9, 10.
that's the window for me. That whole window is less than 3 minutes. I use that to go into 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
And so that's been my sort of like automatic every day that I will use. But I found there's many other techniques. I mean, for example, like most people don't like to cold plunge in the morning, right? It's freezing, right? I'm not talking about a cold shower. Like that's like what you do after a hot shower, right? It's like, I'm talking
Yeah.
about imagine like coming into our office and first thing in the morning, right? Because you're so mopey and whatnot, you go into the cold plunge. And as you go into the cold plunge for say up to 5 minutes, you're thinking about the hard project you're going to attack today.
Yeah.
You'll see that you can bring the energy. You will first have to survive the physical side. And I say survive, of course you'll survive. And then you'll translate it into the mental side. Or like the idea of something really difficult on your own self, something you hate about yourself, that you want to go look at it, right? That's right.
Yeah, totally.
Like to go into it, look at it and say, I'm going to solve this, right? Not like, oh, I'm going to look at it, so I have to look at it to actually not get so depressed. No, I'm going to solve this today, right? So to solve it, I have to look at it first, right? Understand it. And then I might come and say, you know what? I'm sick of someone else moping all day long. I'm going to solve this today. That notion of bringing in that I'm going to fix this morning, today energy. Like, and sometimes the act of doing that, you can parlay that energy into other stuff. Just that when you come in with mediocre energy, it's useless. Because at best, you're going to get 0 feedback. You know why you get 0 feedback? Because it was average. It was mid. It doesn't even make it worthwhile for someone to react. It's not worth anyone's energy to even give you their attention and engagement. And so why make more work slop? Why make more mediocre stuff? Like AI is doing it in full force for us now. And so that's the shift and change. How about you guys here? Any thoughts or questions? What's some of the...
I feel for me, what found more interesting was the thought that you have to block the middle path. And actually, I see the value now being in actually being totally wrong. So you see like the moment where you're totally wrong. I mean, it is very, very, very hard to always stay there. Like you want to get out of there of that really bad mindset. And I see how having those pressures, sadness, whatever, those bad feelings push you to actually do something drastically different. So I also like in my past moments, when I didn't find a job or something, when I was literally finding jobs, it's like, oh, there's no solution. And I think that you brought like how pathetic I am. Like, hey, I mean, it is a process. You're expecting quick results. It's more like keep consistency. Keep consistency. Don't give up.
Yes.
I feel that's really good. I agree with that.
It's interesting, this notion of consistency, applying consistent human energy on a hard problem. So it's amazing how, and this is where if you do, your subconscious actually is puzzling it, working way more powerfully than you realize. So imagine like you like come in and you're applying that consistent pressure and you want great, right? But it's not working. And so then you go and take a quick break. It could be a snack. But even as you do, you're still solving it and then relook at it again. Or you go out for lunch with a colleague and you're laughing with them and then you relook at it again. Or you go do a workout and then you relook at it again. And then at the end of the night, you're like thinking, God, didn't really make a difference, but I still want to solve it, right? You wake up in the morning and suddenly you might be like, wait, I have a new idea to try. And then you're coming in with 8, 9, 10 energy again and using those oscillations of whether it's, when you shower, work out, eat food, take a break, or talk to someone, or like go maybe help a mentor someone. You're like, oh my God, I have an idea what to do. Like, I can't tell you how many times I'm actually helping and mentoring someone. And then in the middle of it, I have an idea that solves my problem. So I'm scribbling a note on the side of like, I'm trying to help you, but I just solved my problem too. Thank you. Like, and then I continue the process of helping someone. The overnights, I can't tell you how many nights I've gone to bed thinking it's impossible. This can't be solved. But like, I still have but I've seen the power of the overnight subconscious mind at work.
I found it, I mean, it's a newer one for me, but I have found it helpful to be more deliberate of injecting myself into a harder problem, just to like read it, immerse a little bit before I leave. When I really feel like I have little energy,
Yes.
less to solve it, but like it,
Pretty
more
good.
often than not, it seeds me.
Yeah.
And so I can actually wake up more. Sometimes I don't, but it's
Yeah.
one of the tools I found that helps me.
Very
get better
powerful.
energy.
Overnight is a very powerful tool. Keep in mind what the average person does before I go to bed or after end of day at work. I'm convincing myself this was an impossible problem. This great was not possible. This is not worth my time, worth my energy, that it's impossible to
You're
achieve.
saying you're deliberately.
I'm
feed
saying,
yourself
I'm
that?
saying most people do that,
I see.
right?
I see.
That's what they do and they don't even realize.
Yes, yeah.
I deliberately feed in. Okay, this is a hard problem, right? Like I got an overnight, right? It's in like I'm getting my little break before I get to attack it again tomorrow morning. So I am like literally going through saying, I can't think of why I can't solve it, but I know it's possible. I'm getting a little overnight, but feeding in I know it's possible. Like I know I'm going to attack it. And then that literally gets the overnight processing. So when you wake up in the morning, that 3 hours sleep, 6 hours sleep, the 7, 8 hours sleep you got, literally attack the problem running 10,000 times harder than when you were awake.
Yeah.
And then you wake up, right? And sometimes you're groggy and whatnot, I'll forget about it. But right as I do my push plank up, like, the whole plank push up PP,
Yeah.
it suddenly sometimes will come to mind, but like, oh my God, like that's how you can solve it. So then suddenly in the middle of it, I'd be like scribbling notes on my phone or whatnot, like having things I want to go try. So, but then as I'm coming into work, I'm like already like puzzling ideas. I may even fire out like little shots at different people, like it's like a new approach. But it's because the whole conviction, you can hear it in their voice, right? What you're working on is going to work out. Like not fake, like
Because you're like, because
positivity.
I'm gonna work on it and I'm gonna
Like,
fucking find a way. That's what your energy
But
is.
it's not even just that, it's just that none of us even come close to understanding the power of a subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Just the power of it and what it's able to do. Remember the whole 40 to 50 bits of information per second is what our logical mind is taking in. So when you have to do all those stupid tests in schools right now that like just give you a standardized score, that's like applying the power of your logical brain, right? 40 to 50 bits of information per second. And literally all of that is useless because AI can do that way better. But our subconscious mind is picking up 11 million bits of info per second. That's insane.
That is
the difference between 40 to 50 to 11 million per second. So let that computer, right? That's more powerful than all the NVIDIA GPUs. Like let that computer attack something overnight. How could you possibly have the arrogance of an optimist or a pessimist to actually think that you might come up with something brilliant by morning?
Yeah.
And I say optimist too, because the optimist is like, it always works out, I don't have to worry.
Yeah.
So you're not turning your computer on. Like I go to bed turning that computer on into the problem. And then in the morning, I know my routine, right? I'm going to generate the energy to look at that problem and attack it.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times it's like, oh my God, I have something totally random idea from a totally random place. I think it could work. Right? And then to the point where you can look back, so you can remember the AiCoach, you can manage your brand, right? So I don't look like an idiot. And so that managing the brand, like, when you're not winning, you should just realize you're an idiot. Everyone like may not treat you like an idiot, but they don't treat you like someone great anyways, right? So what difference is there? You're in the same bucket as idiots.
Right.
Like at least idiots they might avoid, but the worst is they're gonna let you sit next to them, invite you in, make you feel average enough to go nowhere until you're replaced by AI. That's harsh, but I feel that is a lot of what's happening and coming. So how to train up the stuff. It's cool.
Yeah. Breaking it down.
I feel like we're close.
We're close. The PEMS framework came out of,
I think it's
Kinda
gonna,
nowhere
I
for
mean,
me.
maybe I'll just add one last thing, but I feel like bringing, like for me, connecting kind of emotions to the morning and bringing that emotion, being aware of it and trying to dial it up has been helpful. Truly helpful. I think though, what you brought up today gets at a narrative that I still tell myself, I don't want to be 0 to 2 so badly that like I can let myself off, knowing I'm not an 8-10. I want to be an 8-10.
Yeah.
But like I can let that feed a narrative like, well, at least I'm not a 0-2 or that part. So it is making me think of that I think I block unintentionally. I think I block 0 to 2 more than I block the middle. That's it.
So I like the idea of thinking about it as PEMS as a lever. So imagine in the morning, I know you focused on the emotional, but add the weights. Whether it's a push-up, the plank push-up thing I told you, right?
Yeah.
Like try that, because now that's adding another lever into generating 8, 9, 10 energy.
Yeah.
Right. On the technical front, there's something you could tinker with technically. And you might feel like, wow, I just learned how to use Grok better versus this, or you know, like there could be something there. The other part is the spiritual. Like there are elements where like lately I've been waking up saying there are 3 communities I believe are getting hit the hardest and suffering generally in the US right now. I think it's the Venezuelan community, the Chinese community, and the small business community. I think given all that's happening, I think there is more terror and more like almost cliff, you might just fall into a sinkhole like any minute kind of feeling. And so I want to help fix all 3 like immediately. And I think I can do it. That sounds crazy maybe to some, but I think I have the assets. I think I know the people. I think we can even put like the whole AIC. I have the knowledge and know-how. I know the people, and I know that we can even apply capital to it. I think we can fix it. And I say fix, I don't mean like fix the political environment. I'm saying
but
give
for you,
a
that
path.
represents of like it's like a feeding the energy on the spiritual side of like
That's
tapping into that.
taking a group that is probably terrorized in incredible difficulty
Sure.
and coming literally as the cavalry. I think of that scene in Lord of the Rings. Remember the second one? Is it the Twin Towers one, or whatever? The second one where Gandalf comes from the hill with all the horses. I always think of cavalry like that scene, right? Where they were at the brink of death at the war. Like everything was tearing down, all was lost. And literally the sun rises and you see Gandalf with the entire army of horses coming down. Like that's what I think cavalry. And I have like, I'm going to be that cavalry like today for those 3 groups. So literally I wake up, and even while in the middle of doing my plan, I'm firing off emails to key people I believe, and I'm declaring like what I want to do. And I'm asking AiCoach, help me say this in a way that doesn't make me sound totally naive and like idiotic, like say better, like just start going. So if you're a Venezuelan, Chinese, or small business, then come and help you. Cool.
Yeah, we'll unpack more of it. Maybe next week we'll just go deeper into this. It's so good.
All right.
It's so good.
It's good being in Boston.
All right, you guys, we'll see
A lot of
you.
green.
Yeah, we'll see you next.